Welcome. I'm going to give you an overview of the approach to improvement that we're going to take over the next 12 weeks, and also give you an overview of each of the weeks and how we're going to go through the whole programme, with a view that at the end you will have made a change in your area of work. You may remember this from the event that we held in Llandudno, which set out 3 components to the Assoc Innov Programme. And those 3 steps are: what's your problem, making a change, you are not alone. What I'm going to do is just explain to you how these apply to the change model that we're going to work you through during the next 12 weeks. The change model we will be using is based on and similar to the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, IHI, based in America. It's similar to their model, but we believe it draws from homegrown evidence that is more suited to the context in which we're delivering change. So you can see again the 3 aspects of our change model: what's your problem, making a change, and you are not alone. But what we're now really describing that as leading improvement, giving you the skills to deliver the change. The IHI model on which this draws from opens with identifying the aim, the measures and the change that you want to make, which are similar to what we're describing in what's your problem and making a change. Where the primary difference is with, rather than being wedded to one single change approach, the IHI stick with the plan, do, study, act cycle. We're open to considering more widely alternative ways of supporting change. Let me explain in a bit more detail on the next slide about the steps that you will go through for each of these 3 areas. This slide sets out the stages that we've seen for our change model: what's your problem, making a change, and leading improvement. I've added the 4th stage on, which is a part of the programme, which is to review the progress that you've made. Below that are the steps that we'll take through the programme, and I'll go into a bit more detail over the next few slides. Then what we can see are the weeks from 1 to 12 for the programme. And then below that, finally, you can see F2F, that's our face-to-face sessions, and OS, our online sessions. So you can see that in week 1, we have our first face-to-face session, week 2, our online session, and so on, right through to week 12. Let me break this down into the stages of the programme. At this first section, what's your problem? We'll have a first face-to-face session where we'll get much more time to meet one another, understand how some of the technology works, the online system, the Zoom, and we'll start to consider the question around problems. So we'll understand what a problem is. We will understand how we can work through a process to better understand and define a problem. We'll also be looking at what is evidence, what do we consider as evidence, helping us in terms of defining that problem most clearly. We'll work this over the first 3 weeks. So by the end of that 3-week period, I would hope that you will have started to have identified an area that you want to explore. You'll have started to apply some of the tools and also began to identify the evidence to support the kind of change that you would want to make. And I would also hope that then you've got an area of priorities that you would like to discuss and move forward. Towards the end of the 3 weeks, we will also move on to start to look at making a change, and I'll introduce the more detailed material to you and the steps that you'll be taking to think about how you will improve and deliver the improvement you want to make. So during this stage, what we'll start to look at is what is service improvement. What are the different systems approaches to improvement? What are the different approaches that get described? And what are the tools available you to be able to make that change? Importantly at this point, we'll also be looking at context. We'll consider how that context can impact and influence the type and nature of change that you make. As with what's your problem, we'll also look at the tools that can support you through this particular stage of the improvement journey. And also what we'll start to do is look at the story that you tell. What is the change that you want to make, and why is it important that it needs to be made? Being able to share this then takes us on to the third and final stage of leading improvement, and this notion of leadership. From week 6 onwards, we'll then start to move into the implementation phase, and that will be supported by an understanding of leadership, what it means, your role as the individual, thinking about leadership in the team, as well as leadership in the wider organisation. And we'll bring this together to look at and how it influences the facilitation, your approach to delivering that improvement. Whilst you're working through the weeks 6 to 10, I'll be available to support you as you're making and implementing the change that you've identified. In the final 2 weeks, you'll wrap up the project, you'll review and reflect on the changes that you've made, and we can reflect on the whole course and the lessons and learning that we've discussed during its progress, with a view to look at what and how you want to move forward as a result of completing the 12-week programme. So this is a very quick whistle-stop tour through the next 12 weeks where we'll be working together. What's most important is that you engage, we engage together, that we take the time that we've got here to work through the material, and I'm looking forward to working closely with you, and I hope you are looking forward to working together too. This is an opportunity to network and try something different in a safe environment with support. So let's get stuck in and let's start thinking about the change that you want to make.